So thank you so much for meeting with me. As you know, I'm the founder of the Great British Entrepreneur Awards and Community, and the and community bit is really important because we're at the centre of a community of around 50,000 entrepreneurs right across the UK, and today we've asked them to ask you some questions, so I hope it's okay if I put some of those to you.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Fran, it's great to be with you, and thanks for having me. And what you do is so important because entrepreneurship is vital to our future economic success. So it's good to be able to spend some time together.
Fantastic, likewise. So first up, Maddie Alexander Grout, who's the founder and CEO of My VIP Rewards, asks, why is the funding to support small businesses for the pandemic being turned off? We're still seeing small businesses close every single day as a knock-on effect. And is there a plan for an after-effect fund?
Well, what I'd say to Maddie is we're not done supporting small businesses. And actually today, we've written out to over 2 million businesses, letting them know about 5 things we're doing to support them. 2 in particular, I think, will be of interest to Maddie. One is business rates, which I know for a lot of retail hospitality businesses is always a concern. So this year, we're giving a 50% discount on people's business rates bill, worth up to £110,000 per business. So that will really help. And the other thing we're doing is cutting employment taxes. So there's a thing called the employment allowance, which gives employers, small and medium-sized employers, a discount on their employer national insurance bills. So we made that more generous last month, and that means an extra £1,000 tax cut for small businesses who are taking on staff. So hopefully those 2 things will help.
Thank you, Rishi. Juliet Barrett, who's the co-founder of Grenade, asks, entrepreneurship is the way that this country's economy will grow. We've seen it flourish during COVID when people saw opportunities in a tough time. So why aren't we encouraging more school children to take risks and learn about business from business people as opposed to perhaps outdated, non-practical curriculum in the main?
Well, Juliet makes an excellent point, and obviously, the team at Grenade would know this, better than most because great success story. And I think it's a really interesting point, actually. And I think about back to when I was at school. I started a small business with some of my friends at school, selling these keychains that we made in the DIT lab. But now I think about it, I'm not sure actually what we do formally in the curriculum. So that's something I should go away and have a look at. I know there are great community and charity organisations that did this and still do it, like Young Enterprise. But I think making sure that we instill that culture of entrepreneurship in our young people is really important, actually, and we should think about how we can do that better.
Fantastic, and we'd be delighted to help and work with you on that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Next question comes from one of our supporters of our community, actually, Emma Shipp, who's a solicitor at Russell Cook. And she asks, and I think you've answered some of this already, but I'll ask the question, how will the government support small businesses and entrepreneurs, the backbone for sustainable growth for the long term? We need a medium to long-term strategy, not just reacting to events as they unfold.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And something I've been talking this week to businesses about when I've been out and about, telling them about the things we're doing to help them, is a program called Help to Grow. And that is a program for the long term. And what it is supporting those entrepreneurs and business leaders to take their businesses to the next level. And I know I meet so many fantastic people who have set up their business and they want support to grow it, to turbocharge it. And that's what Help to Grow does. There are 2 strands to it. Mm-hmm. So for those business leaders or people who started a company who want to go on a mini MBA, the government has created a brilliant program to do that. World-leading curriculum, you get a mentor, you get peer support, and we fully subsidise it, or very heavily subsidise it. It's worth thousands of pounds. And I've been talking to businesses this week, actually, who have benefited from it, and they all raved about it. And they're taking what they learned from the program back to their business and growing it. So that's one strand. And then the second strand is Help to Grow Digital, where we're providing businesses with a £5,000 or 50% discount voucher if that business wants to take new digital software. So say the company wants to get online and start selling online, or make all their accounts digital to then understand what's going on with their company, those types of things. We know those make a difference to businesses, but sometimes the cost or not knowing quite what to do is a barrier. So we've solved that with this very generous program. So I'd urge anyone who's interested in either of those programs to go look online, Help to Grow. It's on gov.uk website. And that's exactly about supporting businesses for the long term and making sure that they can continue to do fantastic things.
Thank you, Rishi. Rob, who's the co-founder of Cardiff Start and Applinga, wonders whether we cannot give job seekers allowance for maybe a period of 9 months to those starting a business. So to enable and de-risk the initial phase, he believes will help people be more entrepreneurial.
Oh, that's interesting. So what we do have is something called startup loans. And again, these are kind of a government-backed scheme. And if you're thinking about setting up a business, you can get a kind of special government loan up to £25,000. And if you're founding the business with someone else, then both of you can apply. So you can actually get a little bit more. And it's kind of generously structured loan to help people who are starting up. And again, the details are online. It's a startup loan scheme. It's supported thousands and thousands of businesses up and down the country. There are some great success stories that you can read about. And that's probably the thing I would point people to have a look if this is something that they're thinking about.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned earlier the Help to Grow digital and Help to Grow management. I've got two questions here from Lucy Cohen of Mazuma. So she says that there are only 2 courses in Wales for Help to Grow management scheme, and one of them currently is just to be confirmed. So what more is being done to encourage small businesses outside of London and the South East bubble?
Yes, well, we are absolutely trying to expand Help to Grow all across the country, and we're in the process of that and trying to sign up new business schools to offer it. So I'd ask people to keep checking online and see whether there's a course near to them. I think the other thing we're doing, because the point is a really good one, we want to make sure that companies, wherever they happen to be in the UK, get a fair shot at growing and getting supported. So we have these programs which provide finance to businesses, and they're called regional growth funds. And in the budget last year, we expanded them and make sure that they were in every part of the country. And also we have something called the Regional Angels Program. And I have lots of people who are thinking about angel funding. Now, it wasn't always the case that you could get angel funding so easily when you were setting up your business outside of London and the South East. That's changing, and there's a brilliant network of angel investors across the country now, and there's government support for a new programme, £150 million, which partners with angels all around the country to make sure that if you're starting up a business somewhere that isn't in London and the South East, there's a good chance you can get funding for that business plan.
Thank you. Lucy also notes on the Help to Grow digital scheme, there are currently only around 10 suppliers, but there are many more suppliers that could genuinely help businesses on that journey. So what else is being done when it currently seems like, as Lucy's described it, as sort of a drop in the ocean?
Yeah, so we're always actually in a process of evaluating people who come forward and want to be part of the scheme, and we will add more companies and different types of software to it over time. It's very new, so we're just actually in the process of rolling it out. And the challenge is an interesting one, which we grapple with. Well, we did a lot of research with companies, and one of the things they said to us is actually they slightly get intimidated and put off when there's too many options, and they want a little bit of help guiding them to which might be the right options for them. So we're trying to balance actually curating a set of options which doesn't put people off but also provides choice, and that's the balance that we're trying to get right. But our intention is to add more providers and also more, as I said, types of software to the program over time. And going back to one of your earlier questions, this is about the long term. This is about making sure that we create a culture where entrepreneurs are supported to use the best and newest software to help grow their businesses, and that that's not just for day to tomorrow. That's for hopefully years to come. And it's about a mindset that we're trying to change.
Fantastic, thank you. Gareth Jones, who's the founder of Town Square Spaces, they recently ran a campaign called Boot the Commute, and he's asked, how can we incentivise businesses to base their workers within communities to ensure that the towns and high streets up and down the country are able to grow their local economies?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we all care about our places we call home, our town centres, our high streets, and the government is committed to trying to help with that as well. And we want people to feel enormous pride in the place that they call home. That's part of what Levelling Up is about, I always think. So there's a couple of different things we're doing. One is something called the Levelling Up Fund, and we used to have something before that called the High Streets Fund and Towns Fund, but what they're all broadly similar in the sense that those are to fund projects that are smaller in scale, worth up to £20 million, £25 million, to help improve town centres and high streets. And it could be different in different parts of the country. That fund has got billions of pounds, and every few months we open it for a new round of applications. And I'm really excited to see the progress that that's making. I was just down in Suffolk this week, and Ipswich is a place that received £25 million from that fund, and it's helping to reinvigorate the town there. So that's one thing I point to. The other thing is business rates reductions, which we've already talked about, which help high street businesses, but also planning reform. I think all of us realise that our high streets are adapting and evolving to changing patterns of shopping and working. We need to make sure that our planning system keeps up with that and allows high streets to quickly adapt to changes, and we've made some reforms to planning to allow that to happen as well. So those are all the ingredients of what goes into a vibrant high street or town centre.
Fantastic, thank you. Ian Merricks asks, what are the economic, non-political drivers behind not reversing entrepreneurs' relief reductions?
Yeah, this is something that we announced a couple of years ago now, and it was in the manifesto at the election. And I've always thought kind of it was a slightly misnamed relief because it sounds brilliant, entrepreneurs relief. And what we discovered actually that it wasn't doing what it was meant to do. So it wasn't just supporting entrepreneurs, it was supporting a lot of other people as well who maybe not quite doing what we were trying to support the people to do. So 3/4 of the benefit of entrepreneurs relief, which is quite expensive tax relief, went to just 5,000 people. So 3/4 of this very generous tax relief went to just 5,000 people. So the reforms we've made, and we haven't abolished it, we've just reformed it, mean that 80% of people will still benefit from the relief. So it will support genuine entrepreneurs, but make sure that it's just a bit fairer and it's not just a scheme where a relatively small number of really wealthy people can use it for slightly other means. And we have lots of other ways in the tax system that support entrepreneurship. I think people will be familiar with our EIS and SEIS schemes, which give investors a really generous tax break on investing in startups and new companies. That's been a huge success, has helped tens of thousands of companies get funding. And also we have relatively low capital gains tax rates. Now, I think most people, when they set up businesses, didn't even know about entrepreneurs relief, for example, so it wasn't driving entrepreneurs necessarily, but our capital gains tax rates are relatively competitive by international standards, just making sure that we reward people who have been really successful and created something special. And I think that's an important part of fostering that culture of enterprise.
Thank you. In terms of fostering that culture of enterprise, Sophie's question is, Sophie Milliken, founder of Moja Group, funding for female and minority founders is shockingly low. What can be done to encourage investors to distribute their investment pots more evenly?
Yeah, something we've grappled with a lot at the Treasury, and we were really glad that the Future Fund, which was something that we set up during the pandemic to support the startup world who didn't necessarily benefit from some of the other loan schemes that had been put in place. So that fund, it turned out that a majority, actually quite a big majority of the funding from the Future Fund went to companies that either had mixed ethnicity or mixed gender founders, which was a really positive outcome in that regard. But more generally, we have something that we help create called the Investing in Women Code, and we're busy trying to get investment companies to sign up to it. And we've had really good success with lots of them doing that. And what that means is they will have a senior person at the investment firm who takes responsibility for this and making sure that we do drive more investment to female-oriented female founders, and that there's more data transparency about what investments are being made. So we're going to keep getting more investors signed up to that code, and hopefully that will change behavior and we'll make progress on this over time. But it's something I care about. I have two young girls, and we want to make sure that they're not limited in the opportunities that are available to them. And there's fantastic female founders out there, and they need to get exactly the same support as everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many that we're thrilled to have celebrated through the Great British Entrepreneur Awards.
Yeah, you do a great job at highlighting this, and as I said, it's been an enormous success story.
Thank you, and thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to hear from you about what you're doing for small businesses and to meet you in person. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time today. It's been great.